Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to HWM Aston Martin, I'm bringing you an in-depth exterior and interior tour and exhaust video of this 2019 Aston Martin Vantage V600. At the time of publishing, HWM Aston Martin have this, in addition to many other high specification models for sale, and all of their contact details can be found in the description of the video. The Vantage name has been with Aston Martin since it was first used in 1951 on a high-performance variant of the DB2. Since then, the Vantage name has been used to signify higher performance versions of different Aston models, but it became more prominent in the 1970s when it was tied to the Aston Martin V8, a car known by many as Britain's first supercar. Later came the V600 Le Mans, which was built as a last hurrah of the coach-built V8 line, and to commemorate Aston's 40th anniversary since winning the 1959 Le Mans. Limited to just 40 examples, this V8 Vantage also received a power upgrade to 600 brake horsepower. The DB7 Vantage came next, as did Aston's 6-litre V12 with it, but it wasn't until 2005 that Vantage really found its own identity. Over its life cycle, the previous Vantage became Aston's best-selling model ever, cementing itself as a model in its own right. The V12 Vantage S was the ultimate production version of the previous Vantage line, with special, limited edition and more hardcore versions in the form of the GT8 and GT12. This new V600 is a last hurrah to Aston's best-selling model ever, and closes the 2005 Vantage chapter, just as the new Vantage chapter begins. It is limited to just 7 coupes and 7 roadsters, and features aero, performance and further exterior and interior changes that I'll focus on throughout the video. Presented here in royal indigo blue, the V600 is based around a bonded aluminium and carbon fibre body, and comes in at approximately 4,530mm long, 1,914mm wide, excluding the mirrors, 1,245mm high, and has a curb weight of approximately 1665 kilograms. These measurements are all approximate because they're based on the V12 Vantage S. Before we can view the engine, we first need to unlatch the bonnet by pulling on the lever found to the left of the driver's footwell. Then moving around to the front, the bonnet can be lifted up after depressing a small catch on its underside, and then self-supported on 2 struts. Taking a quick look at the new bonnet itself, we can see its carbon fibre construction. The V600 is powered by the same front mid-mounted, naturally aspirated 6-litre V12 as that found in the V12S, but now produces 600 brake horsepower, up 35 brake horsepower, and 465 pounds-feet of torque, up 8 pounds-feet. This enhanced output now produces a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 3.5 seconds, down 2/10, and a top speed of 200 mph. The V600 sits on newly developed 19-inch front and rear lightweight forged aluminium and centre-locking multi-spoke wheels. Braking comes from ventilated carbon ceramic discs at each corner, 398mm at the front and 360mm at the rear, with the usual electronic assists. Stability comes from independent double wishbones at each corner, with coil springs, anti-roll bars and monotube dampers, which are controlled by the car's 3-stage adaptive damping system, with normal, sport and track selectable modes. We can also find a limited slip differential at the rear. Now we've finished the model overview, we can start the exterior in-depth tour from front to back. At the bottom, we find this new lip spoiler, here finished in blue carbon with a slim grille intake above. The splitter joins on either side to the new carbon fibre wide-body front wings with extended lower sections. Moving up, we find an enlarged front intake grille, finished in anodised black, but still holding the classic Aston Martin form. Above, we find the single bi-xenon headlamps with LED daytime running lights that are shared with the V12S. Moving back, we come to the new bonnet. Exclusive to the V600, it takes inspiration from the previous V600, with its large central hump highlighted here by white coach lining. On either side of this, we also find hand-manufactured holes that help the enhanced engine to breathe better. Behind this is the same wide windscreen as in the V12S, with 2 wipers below. Moving up, the roof comes with its 2 dynamic lines, but now in carbon fibre, which helps to lower the centre of gravity. Moving down, we come to the new, smoother sill area. Moving up, and just behind the front wheel arches, we find a lateral indicator and a Q badge from Aston's bespoke design and manufacturing team. The lateral air vents above have been enlarged in comparison to the V12S. They help to release air pressure from the front wheel arches to enhance stability. These in the production cars come with a dividing strip, which has been replaced here by the dynamic body line. The electrical adjustable wing mirrors above now come on extended arms to compensate for the extended rear arches. Moving back, we find the same integrated door handles as in the V12S, with a physical key barrel behind. And looking back, we find the new extended carbon arches that have been extended to facilitate its new wide-body aesthetic. Above this, and on the left-hand side here, we find the fuel tank. The flap can be opened by depressing the button found to the left of the driver's footwell. On top, we find a lightweight aluminium screw top. The fuel tank itself has a max capacity of 80 litres, with the car returning a combined MPG of 21.6. Once finished with, the cap can be fixed back in place with a light depress. Moving back, we find the same large rear window from the V12S. The new deck lid and enhanced ductile spoiler behind are now made from composite carbon for further weight reduction. Now moving to the very rear of the V600, we first find this LED strip brake light, and below this, on the exposed carbon, are the golden wings. On either side of this, we find the split V-shaped LED rear light complexes that the V600 shares with the V12S, and the reversing camera centrally. Below, the V600 comes with a new, more aggressive carbon fibre diffuser, with rear air vents on either side that help to increase airflow out of the rear arches. Just as with the front splitter, the diffuser here is finished in gloss blue carbon. On either side, we find the car's new quad exit titanium sports exhaust. Let's hear how it sounds. Now we've finished the exterior in-depth tour, we can move inside. The V600 comes with the Glass Emotional Control Unit, or ECU, from the previous Vantage line. It has controls to lock, unlock, flash the lights and open the boot lid. Now entering the car, we need to depress the front of the handle to push the rear out to then grab. The classic Aston swan door mechanism opens up easily at 12 degrees. Just as with the outside, the inside comes with many new and bespoke features, and I'll focus on all of these individually. The interior here is finished in a cube bespoke designed blue to match the exterior with further black leather. The rest of the cabin is finished in exposed satin carbon fibre. We can now start the in-depth interior tour with the doors. To bring the car's weight down further, the door panels are just exposed carbon fibre. They start with a smooth, rounded section that ends with the first door speaker from the Bang & Olufsen system. Below this, there's an indented section that flows more than in the V12S. Moving down, we find this blue leather armrest pad with cutouts on the side and the electric window and mirror controls ahead. Moving to the side of this, we find the door release and new leather door pull. At the very bottom of the door, there's a slim open storage area with a small light underneath. Despite being 600 brake horsepower, the Vantage holds onto Aston's GT heritage, so ingress and egress is a straightforward process. The sill of the V600 is presented here in carbon fibre, with the manual handbrake to the right. As we move along, we find this new V600 plaque. And moving up, we find the bonnet and petrol flap release controls, exterior light controls, and button to bring the seat forward, and first main adjustable air vent. Moving to the right, we find the angular steering wheel. Taking a closer look, this is actually a 177 wheel. It features a 12 o'clock marker made from the leather joint, and buttons to accept calls, system volume and end calls to the left. And cruise control buttons to the right. The instrument cluster behind is bespoke to the V600, and is finished with a guilloche or interlacing design. The fuel gauge is to the left. Speedo in miles per hour and kilometers per hour is to its right, with a display for mileage. The second display is for speed, with the analog rev gauge and engine temperature to the right. Moving back, the dash starts with the Bang & Olufsen tweeter, purple bespoke instrument cluster hood, de-mist venting and speaker to the right. Taking a closer look at the instrument cluster hood, we can see how it has been designed to resemble the V600's bonnet, with its bulge and side vents. The now well-known waterfall central column had to be redesigned for the V600 to cater to its new dimensions and layout, and is presented here in bare carbon fibre. The first main feature is the folding infotainment display. To use this, and turn the car on, we need to insert the ECU into its port below. When the screen unfolds, we are greeted by a bespoke V600 display, and moving to the left, we can view the instrument display. The infotainment system comes with all the standard options from the previous Vantage line: reversing camera, vehicle status for setup and driving mode info, the navigation system, the audio system for the full FM, AM and DAB digital radio and device input, then phone for calls and messages, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and finally the option menu for general system settings. Once finished with, this screen can be folded away by removing the ECU. Moving down, the two manually adjustable air vents that were previously found here have been replaced by this single strip, the first for Vantage. Underneath, we come to the first button array from left to right. Driving mode select, traction control off, ECU input, damper adjustment and fog lights. Moving down, we come to 2 further arrays and a Sentry rotary dial. Direct access controls for source, radio and media, then the Sentry rotary dial. The rotary dials can come in hand filament wound carbon, but are presented here in colour anodised aluminium. The array to the right is for direct access controls for phone, back and navigation. Underneath, we find the final control arrays from left to right. Driver zone temperature rotary, front demist and air direction. Driver's reading light and T12, which allows the driver to select between trip displays. Volume rotary, hazard lights. Passenger zone temperature rotary, max demist, AC, rear demist, information and passenger's reading light. Moving back, we come to the car's transmission. This short shift 7-speed manual in dogleg configuration with AM shift or rev matching capabilities. Behind this is the carbon central column that has been wrapped in a bespoke, handcrafted V600 leather cover. It starts with the Triple V logo, with interior lock and boot lid unlock behind. The new cover features circular cutouts just as on the bonnet, and a Y-shaped strap over the small leather armrest. At the rear, we find this small fastening pin. Moving up, we find the rear shelf with bespoke luggage and pockets, and the rear window. On either side of the central column, we find these lightweight sports bucket seats that can be found in the V12S. However, in the V600, they come with a bespoke sew style and dot perforations. Unlike many other sports seats, these are electrically adjustable and come with 3-stage memory settings. All memory and movement controls can be found on the respective side of the central column to the seat. With the seats moved forward so we can move into the rear, we can view their carbon fibre construction. Now taking a closer look into the rear, we find additional speakers on each side and custom black painted struts with bespoke leather satchels strapped to the rear shelf. These are divided by a central open leather pocket emblazoned by the V600 Triple V insignia. Now we finish in the rear, we can view the car's remaining storage capacity. To open the boot, we can use the button on the central column or that on the key. Once unlatched, the boot lid can be lifted up and self-supported on 2 struts. Taking a closer look at the underside of the boot lid, we find this leather pull and the rear carbon fibre construction. If unchanged from the V12S, the V600 has a rear boot capacity of 300 litres. Taking a closer look, we find an indentation to the left with a small accessory pack. There's a small shelf, presumably over the fuel tank, and final indentation to the right with an access panel. Looking centrally, we can see the user manuals lying on the boot floor. There's also a 12-volt power outlet on the boot floor. As the V600 doesn't have a power boot lid, it must be manually secured below once finished with. Moving back inside briefly, we can view the car's final few features. There are slim, Alcantara upholstered sun visors with non-illuminated vanity mirrors on either side. Moving centrally, the rear-view mirror provides good visibility in conjunction with the large rear window. And finally, we come to the 2 reading lights we saw controls for earlier. So that concludes my in-depth exterior and interior tour of this 2019 Aston Martin Vantage V600. Thanks again to HWM Aston Martin. All of their contact details are in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.